Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Hello, very good evening to you, and welcome to the Locker Room. I think this is the only place in Scotland that's not raining at the moment, apart from I had Greek soup for my dinner. Sorry, that was a bad joke, Graham. We'll see my goose going for an hour tonight. So this is the Locker Room on Thursday night, and we've got no teams left in Europe now. After Rangers got beat tonight at against Benfica, final score from Ibrox. Well, Rangers now, Benfica won, joined tonight by, Edinburgh's finest two people. No, it's not the Proclaimers, it's Greg. I was going to call you Greg there. I was going to insult you by calling you Greg, whoever he is. It's Graham and Mikey. How's it going, guys?
All good, mate. All good.
Yeah, not bad. I'm a bit better after Sunday. I've calmed down a little bit, but
Yeah, well, yeah. I still can't believe in Sunday, Mikey. Like we gave you the biggest build up in kind of like media history, and you just kind of went, well, I was a bit disappointed with the game, and that was it. But anyway, so we're here to talk about the Rangers game. They're out of Europe, but I mean, Rangers could be very proud of their performance getting to the last stages of the Europa Cup. Keep your comments coming in. Duncan on YouTube, thanks for commenting. He says that Rangers are still missing two bloody misses chances to get, and another one on YouTube was saying Rangers got robbed by a penalty, but there you go, that's not. So what was your take on the game, Mikey, tonight?
See, I think it was a weird one because I expected a lot more from Rangers. I don't know about you, but they were quite flat for me, and Benfica, they came with the right game plan. I mean, when you're travelling to a team in Europe, you know that you're going to be on the back foot, so they used the counter-attacking to their advantage. But I think I was quite disappointed with Rangers. I thought that they'd show a bit more. The atmosphere was good, as it always seems to be. And I thought the team was quite flat tonight.
Graham, it was a game of two halves, you would say, because the first half it was kind of end-to-end. We would say classic Scottish Cup football. But I think when Benfica got the goal, I think that took the wind out of Rangers' sails a wee bit.
Yeah, you could see last week that technically Benfica are a good side. And I'd said to Andy when I was on the show last week, Rangers had to wait the counter-attack. And that was what happened tonight. They got counter-attacked numerous times from their own corners. It was mentioned countless times during commentary because how much they were getting caught. And he was right, because it happened so often. You know, Di Maria was causing problems. Rafa Silva was causing problems, eventually got the goal. They were just very open defensively. I thought Connor Golson was quite poor at the back. Midfield, I actually thought Diamandi was actually quite good. Lundstrom was okay. I was surprised that Scott Wright started, but he was actually a threat on that right-hand side. Quite the biggest threat, actually, on that right-hand side. But I do agree with Duncan. You know, Rangers badly missed an out-and-out striker. And again, I really don't want to be harsh, but Cyril Dess is just, honestly, sometimes he looks really good, and other times he looks dreadful. Tonight, he offered very little. Now, you can say he didn't get many chances. I think he had one decent chance, but he doesn't look good enough. You know, even I know that he got a goal or chance ruled out for offside, but even then, when that ball falls in, you don't think he's going to score. There's no conviction in that chance. So they do need an out-and-out striker. But it's disappointing for Rangers to be out. You know, they have done very well. I don't think they would have won the competition anyway, the teams that are in it, like Liverpool, AC Milan, Atalanta, Bayer Leverkusen, Roma. They'd have probably gone out. But it's disappointing because at home, the crowd was great. You know, the crowd was really up for that. But they just didn't do enough to test that Benfica goalkeeper. I can't remember him making too many big saves.
And that's the thing, Mikey, you can't really go into a big European game at home that you would need to score to put you through instead they'll death us. I mean, as Graham says, no offence, but I don't think he's going to cut that with the Rangers fans.
See, the thing is, it's a weird one because I've said this multiple times before. I don't hugely rate Dessers because I think that it's one of those where he scores a lot of goals. But if you were to put any Scottish professional league striker, apart from probably Curtis Guthrie, up top, they'd probably score more goals, or maybe not as many as Dessers, but they'd score goals. And the amount of chances it takes him to get his goals are just ridiculous. So I don't hugely rate him. And again tonight, as Graham said, I don't think they had many chances in the game, but the ones he did, he had no conviction, and that's just been the story of his season so far.
Graham, I thought the two standing men for Rangers tonight was Tom Lawrence and Scott Wright.
Yeah, I thought they were both very good. I actually thought John Suter was good tonight as well, which pains me to say as a ex-Hearts player. But I thought he was excellent tonight. But yeah, I thought Scott Wright was really lively. When I saw the team sheet come out, I did think Scott Wright in a big European game. No sure about that, but he actually was a big threat. I thought Lawrence showed a lot of touches of quality, but they just didn't have that spark in the final third that I think they did really miss. I know they bring Roof on about 76 minutes, but again, couldn't really get involved in the game. But they just didn't do enough going forward. You know, last week, we said that at the time, you know, Benfica looked really dangerous. You can see how good a team they are. But Rangers got the two chances and scored them. Tonight, they didn't really get a lot of chances. Like, honestly, like I said, I can't remember the goalkeeper making too many big saves, to be honest. And when you're at home in a big European title like that with the Ibrox crowd behind you, I thought Rangers would go through tonight. I said that last week. But they just didn't do enough. You know, they didn't create enough. But Scott Wright and Tom Lawrence were probably the two, a lot, as well as John Suter, the two standout players for Rangers tonight. Apart from that, they didn't have much else.
Yeah, no, I think Jack Butland was the most busiest goalkeeper tonight. You know, that the Benfica goalkeeper, I don't think he had a real save to make. Maybe one of these kind of long range shots at the beginning of the game, but I can't remember any, Mikey.
Yeah, I think Trubin is a good goalkeeper. He's in the Ukraine squad, and I do rate him. But yeah, I don't think he really was tested tonight. I think that to be fair to them, the Benfica defence was very solid. I think Otamendi played brilliantly. But yeah, I didn't really see many massive opportunities for Rangers. Whether that's down to poor attacking play or good defensive play, I think it's a bit of both. But yeah, with the Ibrox crowd behind them, they should be doing a lot better than they did tonight.
Yeah, no, I know. I think even though the Rangers get beat tonight and out of Europe, Mikey, I think it's all about learning as they go along, you know.
Yeah, I think obviously they would have wanted to get further in the competition. I don't think they would have won it. I think there's better teams in there. Leverkusen, Liverpool, I think are better sides than Rangers. But the thing is, with that Ibrox crowd behind you, as I've said, that gives them such an advantage, and I think they can obviously take learnings from this game. They didn't take any real chances. They didn't get many chances. So I think they need to kind of take this as a harsh lesson. But at the same time, they should be looking back at this thinking they should have done much better than they did, in my opinion, because I think just they had everything there. Benfica haven't won in, I think, 3 league games or something. So they had the chance tonight, and again, they just didn't really show up.
Greg, what about Conor Goldson? I saw a lot of Rangers fans on social media giving him a bit of stick, but you can actually see it tonight that he was outplayed in that second half, and I suppose the whole game as well.
I thought he was very poor. Now, I think in Scotland he looks a decent defender because he maybe doesn't get tested a lot.
Yep.
When it comes to European games, I don't think he's quite what Rangers need. I thought he was very poor tonight. Like I said, I think John Suter was the best of the defenders tonight. I thought he was excellent tonight. But Conor Goldson again got done numerous times on that counter-attack. I think he's a decent defender for this Scottish league, but in Europe, I just think he looks a bit suspect.
I think, Mike, I heard a lot of Rangers fans saying this last week, but I don't know if this was tongue in cheek, but they would be prefer to go out of Europe tonight and concentrate in the league. And also, I mean, they still get the treble to win.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you're being realistic, I think that Liverpool would have beaten Rangers at some point. I mean, if Rangers went all the way to the final, they'd have to play a team that's better than them, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that, of course, taking the Derek McInnes thing he said last week, they should go for everything. But yeah, they can focus on the league now. But we have seen Celtic had the league to focus on since December or something, and that's not hugely helped them. So does it really have that much of an impact? Maybe on a couple of games, but I think that Rangers will be disappointed, and I don't think that they'll really be looking at this like, oh, it's just a competition that we can get out of the way. I think they really did want to make a good run in this tournament, but I think that they can focus on the league now. That's got to be their main priority. But yeah, I think they'll see this as a missed opportunity. Yeah.
Graham, I've been dying to say his name all night, like, or in fact, since the first game, and I'm going to say it to make Ba. I was going to say Ba, but that's not very fun. But he played well as well for Benfica tonight. He done well in the first game as well.
Yeah, I thought he stood out for Benfica, but I thought Rafa Silva up front was really good for them, and he gets his goal. I mean, again, how that took so long to decide. You can clearly see the guys in his own half shouldn't take that long to figure that out. Di Maria again was decent, but I just thought on the counter attack, Rangers were done so many times tonight. Benfica are a very good side. You can see that from the first minute tonight. You know, they came with that game plan to really have a goal. And that first 10 minutes, I put it in the group chat, was so open. Like, both teams were really going for it. It did settle down a little bit after that, but whenever Benfica came forward, they looked a real threat with the pace they've got up front. Now, I don't think they'll win the competition. I don't think they'll get maybe much further in the semi-finals. I mean, Liverpool were 5-1 up against Sparta Prague last week. There's only 10 minutes played at Anfield, and it's Liverpool 3, Sparta Prague 0 already. So I can see Liverpool winning this competition, and hopefully they do as a Liverpool fan. But yeah, I think Benfica looked a decent side, but against a better team, I think they'll go out.
Mikey, I mean, you know, it was a typical European game. You would say in Glasgow. The weather was brilliant, and you know, 50,000 fans, but they gave it the big build up as well. But it just kind of fell short again.
See, that's the thing. I think that obviously the weather was absolutely brilliant today, but see, I think that again, the Rangers fans they're one of the big teams in Europe that can really get their team up for a game. And again tonight, I think that the atmosphere was good, maybe not quite as good as it has been in the past. But yeah, the players just didn't seem to respond to it today. And I think Benfica did a very good job at basically nullifying the threat of the home team in Europe. They set up, I think, brilliantly for it. Rafa Silva again was very good. I think he was a threat the whole way through. But yeah, I think that Rangers are, yeah, it's just a difficult one because they gave it the big build up and the players just didn't really respond to it.
I don't know where this Rangers rob thing's coming from. There was no controversial incidents in that game at all. Where are people getting Rangers are robbed from? There was nothing in that game that Rangers were robbed for. That's nonsense. If Rangers were robbed, it was a different game for me because I didn't see anything in that game that Rangers were robbed. They just weren't good enough. Simple fact.
Yeah, and I mean, I would echo your point, Graham, about Rangers were robbed according to the contributor, but I don't know if he's talking about the goal. But apart from that, there wasn't any big incidents in the game, Mikey.
No, I genuinely can't think of any. I think obviously the goal was, I guess, a big talking point at the time, but we saw it back and it was onside. So, I mean, it's a bit rich coming from Rangers after what happened on Sunday. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they can be thinking they got robbed of because I don't think there was anything.
Liverpool 4-0 up after 14. 9-1 on aggregate. We've only played 14 minutes. It's ridiculous.
I don't think this game will go to extra time anyway. As well. Graham, last week we had Andy on the show and I was saying to him about Kemar Rifty and he came on obviously when the game was over. Now I think he's a decent player for Rangers, but what are they thinking if Desas gets a game in front of him and he's missing good chances? Because I mean we won't know now because Rangers are out, but I mean if Roof was there, I think he would go score one of them.
I mean, Kemar Roof, the problem with him is he can't stay fit. That's the only issue. If he could stay fit, he'd be starting. But so I'm just doing something. Yeah, I mean, if he could stay fit,
well done.
Sorry, I'm not having that. Anyone on this chat is going to be an idiot. They're getting blocked. But yeah, I mean, I just think he can't stay fit. That's the big issue. Kemar Roof is a really good player. He came on today with 50 minutes to go. It doesn't feel a lot of time to try and change the game. But, I mean, you are right. When you're watching Cyril Dessers, who are struggling in front of the goal, you probably are thinking to yourself, well, let me on there for a bit longer. I might be able to do more. But it's just a fitness thing with Kemar Roof. That's all it is. He just can't stay fit. He just can't stay fit. If he could stay fit, he would be Rangers number 9. I've got no doubt about that. And I think Des would be on the bench.
Yeah, no, well done, Graham. What I would say to everybody watching was everybody's got a point of view on the show. If you don't agree, don't comment and stuff like that. Mikey gives his comments like everybody else, and we're doing a decent job bringing you analysis after every game. So if you want to comment like that, please go elsewhere. Or else go outside, get some nice night for a walk, I would say as well. If you've got any ducks as well. So, Graham, am I being a bit unfair to say the Odessas? Because do you remember Eric Bo Anderson?
Well, I'll give you a better one. Peter Van Vossen. Remember the miss that he had at Celtic Park that year? But I think, I mean, Dessers has decent qualities, but scoring goals doesn't seem one of them. Now, I know it does sound daft because he has scored goals this season, but the amount of chances that he misses. Now, I suppose if you're looking at it, you think, well, do you know what? He's in the right place to miss them. But if you've got a better striker, and I don't want to say it, but I'm going to, if that's a Lawrence Shanklin type striker, he's scoring a lot more goals. With the chances that Rangers create, he is scoring a lot more goals than Dessers does. Because Dessers misses far too many chances. And in big games, you can't afford to do that. If you're playing like lower league teams, then fine. You might get a few more chances than that. But in a game like tonight, where it really is a big game, you've got to take these chances. He doesn't do it enough. In big games, he doesn't take chances.
Mikey, how does Rangers pick themselves up? We've got a difficult game against Sunday, and that's a first game for a wee while. Rangers has got beat at home, albeit in 2 different competitions. But that's the first time that Rangers has got beat in back-to-back games at home for a wee while. I know they said that during commentary, I can't remember. But
4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
And then they've got to go to a different venue, a very tight park up at Dens Park. How do you think they'll Claremont will lift this team up? Because, they're playing catch-up this weekend because Celtic are playing first on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that he's shown that he can bounce back before, after the Old Firm derby, he came back. But yeah, he's come off the back of a difficult game. They've narrowly lost, even though I don't think they performed very well. They were right in the game. So yeah, I think that they can pick themselves up quite easily. I think, but yeah, I think that it really just depends because obviously Dens Park's not an easy place to go. So I mean, they've already battered them this season once they beat them 5-0. So yes, it's going to be a difficult game. I think more difficult than the one in October. But yeah, I think he will get them back up for it. And they just need to stick together because they've had such a good run.
Graham, do you think he'll freshen up the team or keep it the same? Bearing in mind this is the last game before 2 weeks because of the international break coming up. Will we freshen up anywhere, do you think, or will we keep it the same?
It might be a case just keeping it the same. He might just go out and say, do you know what, you did well tonight, didn't do enough chances, but you've worked hard enough. Just go out and do it again. I mean, What changes would he want to make? Maybe up top, bringing Kemar in for Cyril Dessers. That might be harsh. Maybe bringing Ross McCausland out wide, although I do think Scott Wright was actually decent tonight. He does have options there. Todd Cantwell obviously came off the bench tonight. Didn't do a lot in the time that he had. Raskan came off the bench again. Didn't have a lot of time. So there are changes that he could make, but it'll be important because obviously Celtic were playing before them, so they'll know the result coming into that game. So yeah, I think he does have the option there, but I would be surprised if he doesn't make too many changes for that game.
Mikey, looking at the bench tonight for Rangers, Barisic and Davis on the bench. Now, would you have started with them just because of their experience in Europe?
I wouldn't. I think that, especially Barisic, I think that he's. I don't think he's as good as Yilmaz. I don't think he's been good in any games as much as Yilmaz has. I mean, playing Fabio Silva out wide was a bit of a weird one. But I don't think he got the team selection very wrong. It's just he didn't show up and he didn't perform when it really came to it. So, coming back to the thing you were saying about changing players out, I'd maybe put Fabio Silva up top and move someone out wide. But yeah, I think that I wouldn't have brought Barisic in because I think he's a bit sort of maybe not past it, but I don't think he's the same level as Yilmaz. And they had to go full strength tonight, and I think they pretty much did.
What about you, Glenn? Would you have played the two of them, or are you like Mikey that that he got his team spot on tonight?
No, I don't think he got his team wrong. I think he got it. I think he got it right. Like I said, the biggest surprise to me was Scott Wright playing, who was good. But apart from that, I don't think he got a lot wrong. I do agree. I think Yilmaz is better than Barisic. I think Barisic just had his day. Now, maybe he might come in on Sunday just to freshen up a little bit, but I'm not sure. But I don't think he got a lot wrong. You know, I think the players that he had on that park were good enough. They just didn't show enough going forward, and that's the biggest thing they'll regret. But like I said last week about Andy as well, they had to watch the counter-attack tonight, and they were getting caught far too many times. That goal felt like it was coming for a while because they were so open at the back. You just knew if Benfica were going to score, that was going to be how it was going to get done on the counter-attack. And that's how it played out. But, you know, I think Rangers have done a really good job in Europe this season. They've had a fantastic season in Europe. You know, they kind of flagged the flag for Scottish football for a while. Now they're out and they can now just concentrate on trying to win that treble, which, listen, there's every chance they could get with the games coming up. But tonight, you know, if you look at after the action as well, the crowd were still singing and stuff. So the crowd are not too flat after that. I think they can see how much they put into the game. It was just one of these nights that they just didn't do enough.
I think you're right, Mikey. I think no matter what team Rangers put out, Benfica will still come up cream of the crop as well, you know. In fact, they not got a goal ruled out for offside when they were winning 1-0. Am I right there?
I'm trying to remember. I've forgotten half the things that have happened now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I've actually completely forgotten, but I know that they got very close, and Rangers were very close on a couple of occasions as well. But I can't remember if there was another one ruled out or not.
I mean, it just goes to show you, Graham, that I know I was saying on the show the other week that you would want the second leg to be at home because you know what to do, but it worked in the opposite favour of Rangers tonight. And I suppose when you come up against a top class team, then you would get punished. But you know, so it's a bit of a jump again because in Scotland you can afford to keep the back door open a wee bit, but in terms of European football, you've got to keep it bolted shut for the two games.
Yeah, and that's why I thought Rangers would go through tonight, because they'd managed to get that draw last week. They managed to score a couple of goals, and I thought coming back to Ibrox with that crowd up for it, I thought they would actually go through tonight. But like I said, you can see that technically Benfica are a very good side. They keep the ball really well, they pass it really well, the little triangles they had, you know, they were breaking through the middle countless times. Di Maria, again, was a massive threat. But I just thought that Rangers being at home would have that slight advantage, but it didn't work tonight. You know, we've seen how good Rangers can be in Europe at home before. Didn't happen tonight for them. And that'll be a bit of a letdown for Philippe Clement that they've not managed to just create enough. Like I said, the goalkeeper was very rarely tested. I think Rangers had a shot in the first 12 minutes that was pretty comfortably saved. But apart from that, they didn't do enough going forward, and that would be a disappointment. You know, if they'd have created a bit more, maybe they've got a chance, but it just wasn't their night tonight.
Mikey, what about, obviously you can pick anyone out that kind of Benfica team, but Silva scored the goal for Benfica tonight. I thought he was the man of the match over the 2 games, never mind just tonight.
Yeah, I think he was obviously very good. Also, the Neves guy in midfield, I thought he was very good. Otamendi, as I said, was solid. There was quite a few of them. I think Neves maybe just about, because I think he controlled the midfield very well. But yeah, Rafa Silva was a threat across both legs. But just tonight, I think that Neves was. I mean, he's such a young player as well, and I think he was very, very good tonight.
Yeah, no, Graham. I suppose like some of the Benfica players will go on to a higher level. No disrespect, because Benfica is a top team, but there's other teams out there better than Benfica.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, just look at the teams that are in that draw for tomorrow. There's a lot of decent teams in there that I think will probably beat Benfica, but they do look a very good side. You know, they look comfortable on the ball. They look very dangerous going forward. They really do have that threat. And I think there will be other clubs out there in Europe looking at some of these players, like Neres and stuff, because he did look a really good player. But tonight is a big, big result for Benfica. You know, they're now in the last 8. They do have a chance, but I just think if they come up against a better side, like a Liverpool or Leverkusen, I think they'll probably go out. I just think they'll fall a bit short. But you never know. You know, it's European football, it's cup competition. You just never know. And especially at home, I think they'll be very dangerous as well.
I think, Mikey, for like the likes of Tom Lawrence, Scott Wright, and maybe John Suter as well, it would be giving them more experience in European football.
Yeah, I think John Suter was very good. Tonight, I thought he was quite solid. Connor Goldson alongside him, I don't think was great. But yeah, I thought John Suter was all right. And Scott Wright, yeah, he's barely played this season. It was a shock to see him in the team. But yeah, I thought he was pretty good. Tom Lawrence, I think he's had quite a lot of injury problems this season. He came in and across the 2 legs, he's been all right. So it'll give him experience, but I think they actually did pretty well. It wasn't just giving them a chance for the sake of it. I think they actually were pretty useful in the games.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I suppose, like, going back to the beginning of the game, Graham, like, we want to get off to that kind of like fast start in terms of like the first maybe 20 minutes and all that. The supports would be up for the game. But, you know, but it's just when you come up against a kind of top class team.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a few folk watching on YouTube as well. John Paul Irvin's watching, Caden Malone's watching. Cortex says it's all the defence's fault. Of course, I'm the best part of this life. It goes without saying. I'll pay you later for that. But yeah, I mean, the start of the game, Rangers, I thought both teams were up for it, to be honest. But Benfica there's first 5 minutes I thought, actually, Benfica do look a threat here. Like, they've not come here to try and sit back and take this game at extra time and penalties. They've come to have a goal. And I thought they did that all through the game. And Rangers, I thought it took them a little bit of time to kind of settle down a little bit, get a bit of control in the ball. And it did take them a while, but without really threatening, without that much. And then second half, you're thinking, right, what are they going to do second half? Because, you know, they didn't offer enough first half. Second half, I thought it was pretty much the same thing. I thought they had a bit more possession. But Benfica, like I said, always had that threat going forward. They just looked so dangerous. And like I keep saying, the goal when it came was not a shock how it came, because they were so open. But, I mean, Rangers will go away from this and think, we did well in Europe. It's been a decent run. Disappointing tonight to go out at home, but it'll now give them a chance to kind of look forward and try and get that treble, which, like I said, they've got every chance of winning. But tonight will be a bit of a disappointment because they just didn't do enough.
I suppose, Graham, that the best part of the game was after the game, because I thought TNT Sports done well. They they didn't want to speak about the game to Jack Butland. All they wanted to speak was Are you disappointed not to be in the England squad?
Well, to be fair, that is actually fair. And Cortex said the Rangers are the first choice attacking three with the one. And I think it is a fair point because I'm surprised that Butland's not in the England squad. Generally, I am. Now, I don't obviously have any attention to England, but Jack Butland's been one of the best signings of the season for Rangers this season. And I think he's better than Sam Johnston and Aaron Ramsdale. So I'm surprised he's not in that squad. It's friendly games. Give him a chance to look at him against Brazil and Belgium. I'm surprised he's not had a chance in that squad, given the fact that there was talk that he would be. So I can understand why they've kind of asked him the question about that. But, he'll dust off that disappointment. I'm sure he's disappointed to not be in it because I think his form merits that. But unfortunately for him, he's not managed to make it. Caden Malone says Suter was solid. I agree. Said it earlier on. I think Suter was a standout tonight. Really, really impressed with him. And for someone who used to play for Hearts, I see a few folk as well on my Twitter saying, I wish we had John Suter back. I kind of agree with that because I do miss him when he plays like that. He was great tonight.
Mikey, this is maybe this conversation will go on until maybe a week on Friday, and maybe you can comment on the chat. But do you think one of the reasons why Jack Butland is not in the England squad is because he plays in Scotland?
I think that's the only reason. I think if any other goalkeeper was putting in the weekly performances that Jack Butland was, and it's not just because he's up in Scotland, because we've seen other goalkeepers up here that are very much good enough, but they just don't get the opportunities. And the thing that shocked me is he's been so good in Europe, and still he's not getting a look in. And I think he's better than Sam Johnston. I think it's kind of close between him and Aaron Ramsdale. I think he's been better than him this season. But yeah, he's playing up in Scotland, so he's just not getting any recognition. And I said this on the last show we did about managers. Like they don't get any appreciation for being up here because it's just seen as such a small league to these people down south. So yeah, I think that's the main reason why he's not been picked. Yeah, and I think it's ridiculous because he would have had more chance again in the English squad being third choice Man United goalkeeper, which is just ridiculous. I think.
I think when we talk about England and players not getting called up, Graham, Aaron Thompson comes to mind because he only got, was it one cap for England?
It wasn't far off that, I don't think. And I know that people talked about James Tavernier as well not getting the England squad. But when you got Kyle Walker there, it's very difficult to replace that. Plus Trent as well, so it is very difficult to get in that England squad. I know that Cortex is saying that Dio had an off game. I actually thought Diomande was all right tonight. But, I mean, he's a really good player. I've been impressed with him for Rangers this season. I think he's been excellent. Yilmaz was horrible defensive-wise. Yeah, I thought he was cut out a few times tonight, but he wasn't the only one. But, it is very difficult to break in an England squad. And maybe playing in Scotland does have something to do with it. But, I mean, you do have quality players in England. There's no doubt about that. But I am surprised that Butland hasn't got in there because I think he is better than at least two of those goalkeepers.
Yeah, no. I suppose it's back to that one where it's a standard of Scottish football, Mikey. But Jack Butland can only, he can only pull off brilliant saves against Ross County, St Johnson, and whatever. It's not his fault that the league he's playing in against all these teams.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's not tested as much being one of the big two teams in Scotland because other teams don't get many shots against him. But I think he's been goalkeeper of the year. I think he should get into team of the year, team of the season, sorry. But yeah, I think that the fact that he's up in Scotland has basically got rid of his chances of being in the English squad. And I have heard that people have said if he was down south, maybe he wouldn't have been given the chances to play, or maybe he wouldn't have been as good. But yeah, again, I don't know what else he's meant to do. I think he's been brilliant this season. And in Europe, especially, I think he should be getting recognised for his European performances, and he just isn't. So yeah, I think, as I said, I think he's better than Sam Johnston. So I think he should have been in the England squad, and there's nothing to lose by putting him in there. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure why he just gets overlooked. I think it's just because of the sort of quality of the league.
Graham, do you think that I know when you speak to most Rangers fans, and now they'll be no happy because out of Europe, But in the cold light of day, do you think it will be good experience for them to build on maybe that league game on Sunday against Dundee, kick on for the rest of the season, but also could take it into next season as well for the Champions League?
Yeah, I mean, always it's disappointing to go out. I'm sure that Rangers would have had that kind of final marked out against maybe Liverpool at Dublin, but they've had a great run. They've had a really good run in Europe. And I think now they can just concentrate on winning that league, because that's the most important thing for Rangers, winning that league, which I totally understand. And, Philip Clement will take this one on the chin. They'll build again for next season. I'm assuming, well, they will come the summer, strengthen that squad even further. So, it is a learning experience for Clement and for some of these Rangers players. But tonight will be a bit of a letdown because they just didn't do enough. But yeah, I mean, they've had a really good run in Europe, not for the first time, but it will be a blow tonight. But now they can concentrate on Sunday. And maybe this international break might come at a decent time for not just Rangers, but pretty much most teams in Scotland just now. I think this break comes at a really good time. Gives you a chance to recharge the batteries a little bit for the players not going away with international duty. But tonight will be a bit of a disappointment because for me, they just didn't create enough going forward. And that's the biggest blow. Old enthusiast difference between playing against Baird and Haaland, to be honest, which is fair. By the way, that's ruining Scotland's reputation for players coming here to improve their career. Nunes missed a sitter. Why am I not surprised?
Mikey, do you think the international break's coming at the right time? Because Rangers has still got a few players out injured, and they would want them back because of the second game back after the international was the Glasgow derby at Ibrox.
Yeah, I think it really depends because you've obviously got the game on Sunday. But yeah, I think that it gives them the opportunity to get some players back to the top of the league at the moment. And obviously that could be changed on Sunday. But yeah, I think it comes at a good time for Rangers. For my team, maybe not because they've just slipped out of the top 6 again. But no, I think that for Rangers it's come at a good time. And it gives them the chance to get some players back in.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. The Glasgow derby.
Yeah, I did notice that.
I don't know if you were listening to that one there, but yeah, that's what I said. So yeah, Glim, do you think that what would give? Obviously, we've not had a chance to listen to Clement after the game because we were right on here after the game. But what do you think he will say to the Rangers fans and the Rangers team and the fans?
I mean, I think he'll be happy enough with a lot of the things they did tonight. They just didn't create enough going forward. But let's be honest, they're up against a decent side in Benfica. Like I said, they're a technically very good side. They just didn't. If they'd have done a bit more going forward, they might have got through tonight. But I think he's just got to lift them for Sunday, and I don't think that'll be too hard to do. Because, like I said, they'll know that on Sunday, Celtic can go back to the top when they play on Saturday, which I assume they probably will do because they're against St Johnstone at Parkhead, which I think they'll win. So Rangers then have to win the game on Sunday, and I do think they will. But there'll be no panic after that game tonight. It's one of these games. It was just an off day for Rangers going forward. But there's a lot of things they can look back on and think, yeah, we did well. Like I said tonight, we talked about it earlier. I thought Scott Wright was excellent. I thought John Suter was fantastic. We talked about Tom Lawrence and stuff. So there are positives to take from that game tonight. But the biggest disappointment would be A, how they lost the goal, and B, that they've not tested the goalkeeper enough. But apart from that, they've actually done well in Europe. So they can't be too disappointed about tonight.
Good evening to Paul Donaldson Watson on YouTube. He is saying, hi all, was at the Dundee Aberdeen game last night. Absolutely raging. I'm sure you are. After that performance, and my computer went. Yeah, so my computer went a bit funny. It wasn't me because I'm a funny guy anyway. It says absolute raging after that performance last night. Our club are total shambles at the moment, and I can see us going into the playoffs. I think maybe this is a question for tomorrow night. But anyway, I'll just ask you tonight, Paul, because you're watching. What do you think of the semi-final kickoff at 12:30 on the Saturday? And you can let us know in the comments. We'll talk more about that game in the kickoff times tomorrow on the show, because there's going to be a fight with Aberdeen and Hearts fans over the ticket. You just knew that was going to happen, Glenn, but before, no matter who was in the semi-finals this year.
Hey, I'm happy. We've got a 50-50 split. We're kicking off at 3 o'clock on a Sunday. I've got no problem with that. Delighted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry, Mikey. Cover your ears there. Yeah, because obviously the cup now. Sorry, I just had to whisper that one there. But you heard me, so oh well. McCausland was another guy on the bench for Rangers. Connect them is that a game that he would get came on and kind of make us name a wee bit, you would say?
Yeah, I thought he might have started. But to be fair, like I said earlier, I thought Scott Wright was actually very good on that right-hand side. Now, I've been asked a few questions by a few different fans that would I take Scott Wright at Hearts? And I said probably not, but you know what? I'm going to change my mind on that. Because if Scott Wright plays like he did tonight, he would be an asset because he's got pace. He's lightning quick. And he's actually making, the one thing that I noticed about Scott Wright, he's actually making decent decisions. He seems to know when to pass the ball, when to try and go on a dribble. He's still young as well. So he's still going to learn a lot. But I actually think Scott Wright is improving. So yeah, I thought he was excellent tonight. But Ross McCausland, again, is a young player who's bursting the scene and he's looked really impressive. He might well start on Sunday. That might be a game for him. But Scott Wright tends to, they tend to forget about him, and then he's tucked into a big European game tonight and does really well. So fair play to him. Honestly, I thought Scott Wright was excellent tonight.
Paul Donaldson's come back to us on YouTube because thanks for listening to me, because usually when I ask a question, people just ignore me, a bit like what Grim does sometimes. He says, I'm on the kicking, by the way, Grim. You know I'm being serious. He says 50-50, that should have been a close split. He says, no, I'm not too bothered about the kickoff time, but the ticket allocation is a joke. And then he goes on to say that we've been treated like a second-class set of fans. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, Paul. I thought the game would have been played about 2:30 or whatever, just to get Aberdeen fans down.
I do agree with Paul's point though, about I get why they don't give the full allocation of tickets, because let's say, for example, right, it's Celtic Livingston in a semi-final. Now Livingston are not going to sell the tickets, so they're not going to give them a 50-50 split because there's no point. But for teams that can sell their allocation, like Hearts, like Hibs, like Aberdeen, then I think it probably should be 50-50. And then Paul's right, if you can't sell all your tickets, then fine, you hand them back, another team gets the bigger support. But I don't have a problem with a 50-50 split if you can sell your tickets. Now I don't have any doubt that Hearts will sell all their tickets to 21,000. I've got no doubt about that. But the problem is, I can understand, like, Aberdeen fans are not overly impressed with their team, so they might not sell it out, but give them the chance to do it. This is a semi-final. Aberdeen have a chance to get to a final. I don't think they will, if I'm honest, but you never know. So it happens all the time, though. Any final, any semi-final, it always becomes about the ticket allocation, and nobody's ever happy. Even Celtic Rangers fans at times aren't happy either. But I do get it, and I do agree with Paul's point. I think if you get the 50-50 split and you can't sell your tickets, then yeah, fine. You hand them back. That's the fairest way to do
it. Yeah, so Mikey, go back to the game tonight, Rangers now Benfica 1. It's going to be a big test now for Rangers going away from home on Sunday, even though Celtic beat Dundee, what was it, 7-1 the other week. But it's a different game, because you would say if the game was at Ibrox, you would say, maybe Rangers would win easy. But as I said, that they're going up to Dundee to a very tight park, and you don't know what the weather's going to be.
I mean, they need to make sure that the game actually goes ahead first, because there's quite a lot of problems with Dens Park. But Yeah, I mean, going to Dens Park is always quite a difficult place to go. As you said about the pitch, I think that it'll be a difficult challenge for Rangers, but they made light work of it earlier in the season. So, I mean, I think they will win, but I don't think it'll be easy. I could see maybe a 1 or 2-0 game, but yeah, I think that it'll be a challenge for them, and it'll be a much different challenge to what they had tonight.
Graham, just come back to the semi-final for a wee minute. Paul basically came back and says, if the semi-final was Aberdeen against Hearts, then are they now saying the Hearts would get a greater share of the tickets? No, I don't think that's what Graham was meaning.
No, I think that would be 50-50.
Yeah.
That would definitely be 50-50 split.
Paul says Dundee was very well organised last night and deserved their win. We might actually spend the last couple of minutes speaking about last night's game. That's actually a good point for Ross County.
Oh, Mikey's thrilled about that. Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah, well, that's maybe we won't have enough time actually to talk about that, Mike. I'll leave it until Sunday when you're not on to speak about the Wednesday night game. Even though Hibs might win on Saturday, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, how would you sum up this European campaign for Rangers? Because good experience and more exposure and more money for the club, you would say, Grim?
Yeah, I think they've done well. They've done really well. They've competed really well. I just think tonight's a disappointment because they've not created enough chances. But it's a decent experience for them. You know, they've been to a European final before. In fact, they've done it a couple of times before. But this was always going to be difficult. Like I said, with the quality of teams in this competition, even if they got through tonight, they'd have been up against it. So it would have been very difficult. I don't think they would have won the competition. But tonight's a bit of a letdown because they just didn't create enough. But it's been a decent run for them. And, you know, they will take a lot of heart and a lot of positivity from this. But now they've got to transfer that onto the league form. You know, that's where the bread and butter is. They've got to win that league title and get the money that will come from that. So it'll be a bit of a letdown tonight. I'm sure the fans will be disappointed, but they've had a great run. And now they can concentrate on the league, which is what they want. That's the thing they want at the end of the day is that league.
Now, Mikey, you've joined the show. I'm happy that you're here, but I did not expect Hibs to be out of the cup and to get 1 point away to Ross County last night. I know Graham's laughing at you, but you know he laughs at me, so it's fine. Just ignore him. Pennycook, where's that? Anyway, so Mikey never saw any of the game last night. Never saw any of the highlights. To be honest, I just was got you guys were updating me in the WhatsApp group last night, but Ross County scored a late goal. What was your take on the game?
I mean, it's a classic Hibs game. We were terrible in the first half. I was watching it, unfortunately, and yeah, the first half was terrible from Hibs' perspective. We were giving the ball away. We couldn't get any real flow of. We had a lot of the ball, but we weren't doing anything with it, which is what we've been doing so many times. We went 1-0 down, and it's just classic. We came back into the game. Malida scored, Lafondra scored, and we were 2-1 up. And even at 2-1 up with like 5 minutes left, I knew that there was a big chance we concede. And then, yeah, they scored right at the end, which is just brilliant. But I mean, it's just terrible from Hibs defensively again. The first goal, Marshall, just terrible. And there's been quite a few mistakes he's made this season. And Abita as well was kind of getting mixed up as well. And for the second goal, it's actually quite a mishit by Danda, but we just can't clear it, and it ends up in the net. And yeah, it's just another one of those games where we should win and we don't, and it's happened too many times this season. And it's another 2 points dropped. It's us down to 7th in the league, and now we need to try and fight back into the top 6 again.
Great, from my Ross County point of view, decent point because they're down at the bottom, and you know what that means. That every every game's so that every point's a prisoner now, and they got a point out of that game.
Yeah, and going 1-0 up, you're thinking, can they build on that now? But you know that Hibs have got quality going forward. I've talked about Malouda numerous times. Really well taken goal as well. And then they get themselves in front with that goal from Lafondra, and you think, right, this is probably going to be a win for Hibs now. But it is a big, big point. You know, they're now 3 points behind Aberdeen, who look in serious trouble, as Paul Donaldson said already. But it is a big point for them. And I just when I think Hibs couldn't be any better rivals, they lose a 98th-minute goal to a guy that's coming to Hearts in the summer. I mean, you couldn't script that. It's brilliant. I love Jan Dad already. I think it was signed for a shit. Love the guy. But yeah, honestly, it's like what Mikey said. It's typical Hibs, but it is a big point for Ross County. You know, now they play the other side of Edinburgh on Saturday when Hearts come there. Hopefully we don't suffer the same fate. But yeah, they need to start picking up wins though, and really soon. Then they've got the split to come, which means they'll be playing teams in and around them after that. They've got to start picking up more points. And I think if they're going to do it, it's going to be in Dingwall, because I don't think they're going to pick up many points away from home. I might be wrong, but it's a big, big point for them yesterday. You know, they'll take great heart from that. But from a Hibs point of view, it's disappointing for them to drop those 3 points, because it was there for them. And Mikey said it there. It's typical Hibs to lose it in the way they did. And I heard Nick Montgomery after the game not happy about how they lost the goal because it was their throwing, which is understandable. But you've still got a chance to clear the ball, and they don't do it. And I know Mikey said it before he came on air as well. You've got to defend that better. But fair play to County, you know, they've slightly improved under Don Cowie. But let's be honest, they couldn't be much worse than they were under Derek Adams, because they were awful.
And obviously, I was going to ask you this question tomorrow, Mike, but I mean, who you got to support the weekend? Hibs or Livingston? I'm going to call this the Mikey Derby.
Well, I am obviously a Hibs fan. I do go to some Livy games, but yeah, I'll be supporting Hibs. And I think I'm only going to 2 more Livy games this season, and I'll be in the Hibs end. But yeah, I am a Hibs fan, and yeah, I'll be supporting Hibs. But yeah, I hope Livy stay up. I know they probably won't now, but as they're my local team, I like to go down to some of their games. But yeah, I am a Hibs fan first and foremost. So yeah, I hope we beat Livy, and I think we will win.
So there you go. You've heard it here first. If Livingston's winning 2-0 at half time, Mikey will go into the Livingston end for the second half, and then Hibs will win 4-2 at the end of the game. So yeah, big games coming up this weekend, Graham, and a kind of Six Nations game. It doesn't really mean anything now.
No, that's gutted, to be honest, because I generally thought Scotland had a chance to win this. I think they're going to get beat by Italy. Brilliant. Just like Mikey's talked about typical Hibs, typical Scotland. How did Scotland go lose that game last week? But yeah, it is a nothing game. But I mean, Scotland-Ireland's always a it'll be a decent crowd, but it'll be really flat. But yeah, there are big games to come this weekend, and no more so than Aberdeen, because again last night they were awful. I mean, I watched the highlights last night. Done a shot on target. Like Majowski's now not scored in the last 7 games. They just look a really poor side. I mean, Peter Leven didn't pull any punches last night, rightly so. They have to get a manager in quickly. Now, I know that they're talking about doing it after the international break, which is fine, but they need to get someone that needs stability, because they don't have anything. They were so poor last night. I mean, the goal they lose, the penalty, is it harsh? I know they talked about it on the TV last night. I don't know I don't know if the defender can do a lot there. I don't know. But they just look a really poor side. I mean, but that's football for you. How did they go and beat Kilmarnock last week and then lose against Dundee? They are just such a weird club just now. I don't get it. But I've said it numerous times. Dave Cormack cannot afford to get this appointment wrong, because if he does, and it's another failure, he's got to take responsibility for that, because he's appointing them and he's failing miserably.
Mikey, I know we spoke about this on Sunday as well, but when Neil Warnock came out after the game on Saturday, talking about the win, I thought they were ready to appoint a manager or a caretaker manager on the Monday or the Sunday, but it's nothing yet. It's, they've not made an appointment yet.
Yeah, I think that's the weirdest bit about it, because I thought what would happen is Neil Warnock would just step down because another manager was coming in, but they just seem completely unprepared for it. And if what it's looking like is he's just decided to leave, which in that case that is ridiculous. And
Well,
if sorry.
No, on you go. I was just going to say, Mikey, that's a good point that Mike is making them better than you and me about. Do you think the Aberdeen board was expecting him to go, Mikey?
No, I don't think they were.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think as I said, I think if they'd got a manager in on Sunday or Monday, then yeah, it would have been a decent move for them. But yeah, again, 3 managers in a season, that's not good for the squad. And it's already a negative. And they've just made it even worse now, because whether it's Dave Cormack basically voting him out and just asking him if he wants to go, which would be even weirder in my opinion, or he's just decided to leave, it's a complete mess of a situation. And it's not one that I don't think Aberdeen were prepared for it. And I thought that they'd have just brung in, I thought it'd be Neil Lennon. I thought they'd just bring him in on the Monday and it'd be like done by that. But yeah, again, just it's a complete mess of a situation.
Do you know who I feel sorry for actually is Peter leaving, because again he's been dumped in it, and he doesn't. He's already. I think he's already said he didn't even want the job, and now he's had to do it again to step in. Now he might only have one more game, assuming they bring somebody else after the split. But I feel sorry for him, because yet again it's been left to him. He's having to take the team yesterday. He's having to front up to the press and answer difficult questions. And Dave Cormack just dumped him in it. I feel really sorry for him, because he doesn't want that job. So I feel sorry for him.
So Paul Donaldson said on YouTube as well that he's basically saying, yeah, if Aberdeen appointed a manager Monday or Tuesday, most Aberdeen fans would probably accept it. And that's the thing then, because obviously they had a difficult away game last night after a win on Saturday, and you would think they would maybe kick on, but because Neil Warnock's left, it's kind of upset it a wee bit.
I mean, I also wonder as well, when did the Aberdeen players find out that he was leaving? Did they find out after the game that he was leaving? Did they know before the game? Because by all intents and purposes, Warnock had decided on Thursday he was going to leave. So when did they tell the players? Now, if the Aberdeen players decided, this is his last game, we're turning a performance for him on Saturday, then fine. But you've got to then go and do that yesterday as well. And they've not showed up yesterday. Aberdeen took a decent support away at Dundee on a really horrible night. And they've let the club down again. Aberdeen fans, we know, travel a long, long distance to go and watch their team. And they've been let down again. And none of this is on, like I said, none of this is on Peter Leaving's shoulders. He doesn't take the blame for this. Aberdeen, as Paul said, are in disarray. And they've got to get this appointment right. It does feel weird, though, because, like, said it numerous times, in Europe they did really well, they competed really well, but in the league they've been awful. It's been a really, really weird season for them.
Apparently, Paul Donaldson said that Graham Shinney knew before, and maybe a few of the other players. That could be right as well, as well. But Mikey, we always do our best on the show to talk Scottish football up, but because of all this carrying on with Aberdeen, and Aberdeen's one of the biggest clubs in Scotland, apart from maybe Celtic and Rangers, and I'll say Hearts and Hibs as well. But it's just an embarrassing state of affairs for a manager to leave the club. They're not ready to appoint somebody. The caretaker manager's still there. Is they going to be in the job for Saturday's game? We don't know. So, it's just a carry on.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those ones where it's just like, I couldn't imagine being an Aberdeen fan at the moment, because you're going into every game thinking, just what is going on here? And it's been like that all season. They did well in Europe, as was said. They got to the Viaplay Cup final. They're at Hampden for the semi-finals, which I don't think they have a chance at winning anymore. And yeah, I think it's just that they're changing so much. They're in such a mess.
Okay, so thanks for all your comments. It's been a busy show as always. Thanks to the Hearts and Hibs fan. What one sport? I don't know. They're both as baggy seats, so I would say. But I will be back tomorrow for the big preview of the weekend. And the final score again from Ibrox tonight was Rangers 0, Benfica 1.